cannot be topped, and we are excited to welcome the producer and star, the incomparable Mr. Tom Cruise. Take center stage. We'll do a short photo call. Let's begin with the cameras on your left side, please. Thank you. Now at the center, straight ahead, center. Great. Thank you. And to the right. Right side, please. Thank you. One last call for the center, please. Straight ahead. Thank you so much. We'll take just a moment to bring up some chairs to the stage so that we can begin the press conference right away. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. Please go ahead and take your seat.
Thank you very much.
So Tom, we were here actually 2 years ago.
I know.
You said you'd be back. You kept your word,
Yes,
as always. How does it feel to be back in Korea for the 12th time, which is amazing?
It's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. And I just want to thank you all for the very warm welcome. I love being here. It's an extraordinary moment, to be here with this film, a film that we've been working on, between Dead Reckoning, this, and Top Gun Maverick. It's really been 7 years for Christopher McQuarrie and I, and our cast has been working on it for 5 years. So it's a great honor for me to be here.
Wonderful, and it's an honor to have you back.
Thank you.
Now, you've said that you feel privileged to be able to entertain the audiences. Can you tell us a little bit about why that is? And also, how is the way you do it through the Mission movies so special to you?
Just making movies is very special, period. It's been my lifelong dream. I remember being 4 years old and wanting to make movies and wanting to travel the world and make films in there. And I remember making my first movie, Taps, first starring role when I was 18 years old, and being there laying in bed and dreaming about what my life is going to be like and what I want it to be like. And I remember thinking, I'm just going to dedicate everything I have to cinema and storytelling and learn as much as I can. And hopefully I'll be able to do this the rest of my life, because I absolutely love it. It's not what I do, it's who I am. And so I'm very grateful. There hasn't been a day that I have not felt privileged, a day that I have not felt very grateful to be able to do what I do. And thank you for allowing me to entertain you. It is an honor. Thank you.
That's wonderful, and thank you for entertaining us for so many years. And now it has all led to this. So can you please share with us a little bit more in depth about what you have learned throughout your career, and also how that has helped make this movie so impactful?
I tell you, what I really dedicate myself to is becoming competent at everything that I do. So the first time I was on a movie set, I basically went and I didn't go to film school. Film school was me studying movies, looking at who did what, and then when I got onto a film set, I would just go to each department and I studied each department. And whether it was wardrobe, hair, makeup, camera, production design, and producing. And so I just started studying those movies, and then I was able to make another movie and I studied that. And then eventually as I started studying the studio system. And then what I do is that I'll learn a skill and then I'll apply that skill to storytelling. So if you follow my career from Taps all the way through, you can see different abilities that I've gained. I remember Legend, I did a movie, film where I did my first underwater sequence, and then you can see my movies. I'm saying, how can I do the underwater sequence better? So I've done many, many underwater sequences, and you can see how this has led to The Final Reckoning, the submarine sequence. And McHugh and I, we've been working together for 19 years now. And it's the same thing, I try to take everything that I learned from one movie and apply it to the next, and apply it to the next, and apply it to the next. And McHugh is very much the same way. So that's what we do. We try to constantly improve our storytelling ability. You see that I learned how to fly airplanes, I fly jets, I fly airplanes, I fly helicopters, I race cars and motorcycles, all kinds. You know, if I want to sing in a movie, I'll learn how to sing, and then I apply it to the cinema or dance. It's been, and also I love history and I love to travel. So that is my life. Like I'm constantly, I'll go to places and be able to work in them, not just be a tourist, but be able to work within the culture and celebrate those cultures. So that is my dream. So that's why, you know, as a kid, I dreamed of coming to Korea. So to say that it's my 12th time, and it's my 12th time being here, bringing a film here, it's really amazing to me.
That's wonderful to hear. And speaking of those incredible action sequences, the series is known for its jaw-dropping stunts, but The Final Reckoning pushes that even further, where it's the biggest practical movie ever made.
Yes.
So our question to you is, why is it so important to you to always make something that's bigger and better?
Well, I always hope to just make it better. McHugh and I have a thing at the end of every movie we make. You know, I turn to him and I'm like, we can do better. You know, I'm not someone who ever, I'm very happy with, I set a goal for myself and I want to attain that goal. But there's always a new goal. There's always another mountain, always something that we've learned that we can then take it to another level. Even, I'm not just even saying stunts, but just storytelling and structure of stories and characters. So that's how I feel. There's always another mountain, and we always set a new goal for ourselves.
And you know, the wing walking on the biplane sequence, it is absolutely incredible, very scary to watch. And
Very scary to do.
Yeah, I'm sure it
fun,
was.
though.
And I hear that it was actually a particular childhood dream of yours. Can you tell us a little bit more about
Many
that?
of these things, like McHugh and I will go back and forth, and our whole relationship is kind of just stories and one story to the next. And I remember seeing wing walking when I was a little kid. And I always wanted to do that. I remember being on the airplane, the side of the airplane. I was on an airplane the first time that I flew. And when I get in an airplane, I was 6 years old, and I would think about what's it like being on the wing. You know, I'm in the plane, but my imagination's like, I wonder how long I can hang on to that wing, and what would that be like.
That's actually where you want to sit.
Yeah, that's where I want to be. And I remember, you know, we did that. McHugh put me on the side of that airplane. He was joking. He was like, "Hey, you want to do this on the side of the, you know, the A400?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." We did that. And then to design this sequence, because I fly airplanes and aerobatic airplanes, there's something that I always wanted to do and to figure out. But look, it took years to be able to figure it out. And we had to go back to Africa twice. It was very, very complex, physically, story-wise, developing cameras, developing the planes, developing a style of flying the aircraft. The wing walking itself was very, very intense every day. Very, very intense. I can't really describe how intense it was. So that it just takes time, and you have to, you know, strive for it. The things that I'll do is I'll set a goal for myself, a task or an ability or an overall goal. So you write the goal down, and then what you do is I write a list of all the things, the steps that I need to take to be able to attain that goal. And that list will change as time goes on, because then it tells me the things that I need to learn, or, you know, the things that I know, and the steps that I need to take to be able to do it well. And that's what it was like with this wing walking. It was very, you know, we had to pick the airplanes, and then it's not only just what airplane's going to look good, you know, and this airplane, the Stearman, is an 80-year-old airplane. I'd flown it before. And then we had to evaluate what is the aircraft capable of doing, and then how can I physically move along this aircraft. The wind coming over the airplane, we're traveling at over 100 miles an hour, 140 miles an hour, and I don't know if you've ever driven a car, but just stick your face out of the window at 140 miles an hour. And now picture an entire body and me moving throughout and around that aircraft at those speeds. It was quite intense.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was wild.
And you know, to go a little bit deeper into that, when we look at the IMF team, right? They're like a family. And you've been known to describe Christopher McQuarrie as your creative brother for years. And this is a partnership at its absolute peak and the culmination of everything you two have done and learned together. So to talk a little bit more about that, let's now welcome the writer and director of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Mr. Christopher McQuarrie. Welcome to the stage, and welcome to Korea. All right, we'll do a photo call with the two of you at the center. Let's begin with the cameras on your left. Left side first. Thank you. Now the cameras in the center, straight ahead. Cameras in the center. Straight ahead. Make sure to get the ones in the front row as well as the back. Thank you. In the back. Great. Let's pan to the cameras on your right side now. The right side. To get all the cameras. Thank you. One last pose for the center, maybe. Straight ahead, way back. Yes, we're waving there in the back. Great. All right. Thank you. That'll be it for the photo call, and we'll bring up the chair for the director. Yes, thank you so much. All right, let us take our seats and talk a little bit more about that amazing partnership as creative brothers. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to Korea and up to the stage.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been my privilege to be able to know this man for 19 years. He is, an exceptional, very unique and exceptional storyteller. Not only, his ability to just really, truly write for actors. The way that we work, we don't write a script and then try to cast the actors for that role. You find the actors and you write for them. And never have I worked with anyone that has a greater ability than Christopher McQuarrie to be able to come on and understand the artist and write for them. The detail of these movies, the precision to be able to tell a story like this, the discipline, the amount of coverage you need to be able to tell this story is, you just can't imagine the amount of dedication and understanding of the overall process of storytelling and cinematic storytelling. So it has been my great privilege to be able to work with him and to be here. This is how many times have we been here together now? Like 5, 6 times.
I've lost count.
I know,
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So thank you. I just wanted you all to know that about him.
Of course, and thank you so much.
It's very kind of you.
And you started off also well, because the first question I actually had for you was that you two quite literally had to face all the elements in the sky, underwater, and alongside Tom. We would really love to hear more about this.
Well, he would be he got in the water with me.
Right.
And direct me in the water. And he also, when we were working on the sequence, the aerial sequence, he's like, look, I need you to go from the wheel up to the wing and just move across there. And I was like, I can't quickly do that. He's like, what are you talking about? Okay, well, just do what you can. I was like, I want you to do this thing. I was like, McHugh, I can't move like that. What can you do? Like, because we were figuring it out as we were going along. And I said, listen, I can't even breathe. Like, when you get out, the wind hits you so hard, you stop breathing. I had to train myself to figure out how do I breathe, because also it's incredibly demanding. Like, it's the hardest weight workout you've ever had. And so I finally said, I don't know how to explain it to you. You just have to get on the wing and try it yourself. So I coached him. Yeah, of course he did.
I did.
I coached for 20 minutes. And
Yeah, I had a nice 20-minute tutorial of how to walk on the wing of a plane.
how to not die. How to not die.
How to not die.
And I was like, whatever you do, don't do
die.
this.
Don't do this. Yes, and the most important part was when you're stepping out of the cockpit. You have to remember that you think you're putting your foot there, but when the wind hits your foot, you're actually putting it back there. So you have to do everything predicting where the wind is going to.
And the force of it to move your foot.
And
Yeah,
did that.
it's literally like stepping out into another world from when you leave the cockpit.
He gets into a jet for Top Gun Maverick. He wrote it and produced it with me and Jerry Bruckheimer. And so he got in their jet. He's flown with me. And I'm his helicopter pilot. I fly him to and from set every day.
My heli Uber to
My
work.
heli Uber to work, because we're shooting out in these locations they're just in the middle of nowhere. So I had my helicopter there, and I'm his driver.
Wow. Now, after you got on the biplane yourself, did the direction or the sequence change at all after you experienced it?
Oh, immediately. It changed everything. And that's what's so challenging about the aerial sequence, the submarine, even the sequences in the Arctic, that until you go there, you can't know. And you learn very quickly not to try to outguess it. You just have to be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to change the plan as soon as you get there. And so it took us 2.5 years to build the submarine. It took 2 years, more than 2 years of planning to shoot the aerial. And we did all the things you traditionally do. We storyboarded and we did animations of what we planned to do. But then once you encounter the physics, absolutely none of that applies whatsoever. And you have to start again, right from scratch. But you have to be willing to stay. You also have to stay on schedule.
Wow. I feel like to be able to work together like that, it takes so many different elements and a mixture to create such a profound and pioneering partnership like that. What is the key to that kind of partnership?
No ego whatsoever. There's no pride of authorship. What's so great is that every day we go to work with a plan, but we don't get fixated or obsessed on that plan. It doesn't matter how much work you put into an idea. If the idea is not working, drop it, move on to the other thing.
And I'm just interested, look, he's an extraordinary storyteller. And from the moment I met him, I'm just interested in what he has to say. And I have tremendous respect for him. And I think that foundation of just respect and trust and interest and belief in him, you know, that's just the foundation of our friendship and our creative respect. And if there's something creatively that he wants to do, I'm always like, I will do it. You know, let's go there. And
That is the agreement. If somebody has an idea, whether you get it or not, just do it.
You have to do
And
it.
one of two things will happen. You'll discover something about yourself as a filmmaker, or the person whose idea it was will say, "This was a terrible idea. Thank you for trying that."
That's what I like. So there's times where I'm going, I really want to try this. He's like, okay, and I try it, and I'm like, sometimes it works, and he'll take it, he'll understand what it is, and then he'll just take it to the next level. And then there's times where I'm like, thank you very much. I appreciate your patience. You're a very patient man.
That is
and
a
thank
two-way
you.
street. There are many ideas I've had where I was like, that didn't work. I appreciate your support. Sorry about that. I won't do that again.
Yeah, but that's the fun of it. It's the joy of creating. It is the joy of
Entertaining an audience.
entertaining an audience, and the joy of hanging out and being with him and creating together. It's like nothing is better. I love it. It's just so much fun.
I think I speak for everyone around the world when I say we're so grateful for that friendship, because we are truly entertained as audiences. And I want to ask you about the spectacular, to say the least, underwater sequence. You, as Tom mentioned, had to be in there in the tank, and you had to communicate with sign language, as I know that you two came up together with yourself. My first question about that is, how scary was it?
Terrifying. And
I'm sure.
I would say that the scariest part of it was the unknown, that we knew while we were planning it, that when we finally got there to shoot it, having learned from the aerial and from the Arctic and from other sequences, that we didn't know what we didn't know. And we were only going to find that out when we got there. That was very, very scary. And the other thing, and what's hard to express when you're watching it, is the mask that Tom is wearing is great for the camera. We can see his whole face, and you can see him from all directions, so it's very cinematic. It is not very efficient for breathing underwater. So Tom is breathing his own CO2, and he's becoming hypoxic as he's doing it. And that made the sequence very, very physically punishing for Tom.
Wow.
The weight of the suit, the wetness, like sometimes the suit weighed up to 125 pounds, and I'm doing pull-ups and moving through it. So
When he's climbing around in the set, not underwater, there's no buoyancy.
Right.
It's like he's carrying weights on his back. It's
Wow.
extremely physically stressful. He's breathing his own CO2, and I'm trying to get the shots as quickly as I can to
I'm
get.
breathing the oxygen in, and then my air gets trapped in that mask, and I'm constantly purging, and he's directing the sequence. And I mean, setting the cameras inside that, it was trying to figure, it was just like the equation, and I'm constantly trying to recover from the shots and be in a position where I can be there for him, and he's got to watch not only the shot, but he's got to watch me to make sure
Right.
I'm safe.
And then we have to set the camera in such a way that wherever we set the camera, the set is rotating 360 degrees. So wherever you think Tom's going to be, he's only going to be there for a few seconds.
Wow.
And so each camera position took an enormous amount of time, and all of it involved risk. And when Tom puts the mask on, I have my first AD start a timer, and every 2 minutes, they're telling me 2 minutes in the mask, 4 minutes in the mask. All of that is adding up to the amount of CO2 that Tom is breathing, and how we have to get him out of the mask as quickly as we can.
Of
It's
course,
very
I don't
stressful.
want to get out of the mask. I want to stay in there. So at a certain point, he's like,
Do I cut?
"Do I cut? You got to come out, Tom.
Yeah.
We're gonna." I'm like, you know. But he's right. And also now you have different particles in the water, massive missiles and structure that's there. So as I'm going into it, I'm looking at the shot. He and I will go through the cameras together. We're walking through and saying, okay, I'm looking at sharp places where I could get punctured, you know.
And the set had its own, it became its own ecosystem. Once it started to rotate, it began raining inside the set, which creates an enormous amount of noise so no one can hear on the inside or outside the set. And it's creating currents and riptides. So Tom wants to swim in a straight line, but the set is sucking him into the most dangerous parts of the set. There are huge shelves with metal hinges. It's very dangerous.
Yeah, where I didn't want to get trapped in there. So as I'm acting, there's also, people say, how do you do these things? Like there's cameras around. I've been able to create a spatial awareness far exceeding, you know, my own body, so that you have to be able to perceive things in all directions. Objects coming at me, cameras, and also performing as we're doing it.
Incredible.
Really important to point out, which we always forget to point out, because Tom has, there's a light inside the helmet so
Yes.
that you can see his face. There's a reflection from his point of view. So Tom's blind. He can't actually see. We can see him, but he can't see out. So everything that he's done, he's rehearsed it all in advance above the water without his mask on. And so everything he's doing is largely by sense of feel.
That is unbelievable. My jaw is dropping as.
Yeah, I was like,
as
this
we're
isn't
here.
hard enough. Now, here's the thing. We do the whole thing, and I'm like, I'm slowly telling McHugh these problems because I don't want to overload him. It's like, I need you to do this. It's like, listen, by the way, I can't see when I'm doing this. He's like, what? What are you saying? What are you saying? It's like, because the mask looks good.
You
it
told
took
me you
2
can't
years
breathe.
to
Now
develop.
you're telling me you can't see.
Yeah, I can't breathe, and I can't see.
He also can't hear.
Yes.
He
Can't hear because
he
of
has the suit on, and there's so much noise inside the
Wow.
set. And we have a loudspeaker, and we're trying to call to Tom to yell action, and he actually can't hear us. So it's kind of a miracle we're not still shooting.
I know. There's hand signals going back and forth, and you know. And I also like, I don't want him worrying. You know what I mean? So I'm like, let's just go through it.
I'm
Let's
gonna
do it.
worry no
I
matter
know he
what.
worries
Yeah,
no
yeah.
matter what.
Well, I think all I can say is we're very grateful that you are here and very
Me too.
healthy and
As
well.
are we.
As are we.
Very happy about that. Now, the both of you have said that this is the culmination of everything you have learned together. So I'd like to ask you, how have you two evolved the Mission series, and how has this series evolved the both of you?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I would say the bigger and more complex the movies become, actually the simpler the emotional and visual storytelling becomes. We've learned a lot about what is necessary, what actually communicates, and it's a big challenge for us because we're making these movies for a global audience. They have to translate regardless of what language they're being seen in. And so everything we've learned to do while we're pushing ourselves to be more complex is how do we make things simpler to understand?
Yeah, and I think that's always trying to get to a simplicity within a complexity. Movies are amazing. Making them, it is working with a group of people that are very dedicated. It's on a movie set. You're working with people, and we're very fortunate to work with the people in the tops of their fields. And coming together, it's something that I've been fortunate enough my whole life that I've spent in sound stages, editing rooms, mixing stages my whole life. And so how have we evolved? It's that same way. It's like it's constantly trying to hone our skills of storytelling, of anticipating the problems that will be there, being able to handle the pressures, that enjoying the pressure. We have a saying which is, pressure is a privilege. And the thing I also have realized about myself is how much I enjoy the pressure, how much I enjoy the responsibility of making movies. People ask me, I do a lot of extreme things, and they say, don't you ever get afraid? And I remember, the truth is that yes, but I just don't mind feeling it. I like feeling it. It's something that I don't want to do things that I've done before feel safe in life necessarily.
Well, you've done that.
Yes.
You have done it indeed.
And I mind.
And you have.
It's my job to
too,
mind.
Yes. And I think that's just understanding myself and also having a broader understanding of humanity, which is something that I've always wanted to know. I love people. I love the world, and I'm constantly just learning about that and being able to learn new skills and apply it. And definitely my skill set has increased and will continue so.
That's wonderful. And there's